It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at wcbe.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Barry Liss.
And this is It's Movie Time. Barry, we've had our revenge films all over the place. Prisoners with Hugh Jackman, which I thought was pretty good, but you remember way back to the Virgin Spring.
Yes. Oh,
which
wow.
was another revenge.
How can I forget that?
And all the way in between with Kill Bill and Carrie and a whole bunch of distinguished revenge films.
Yes.
So today we're talking about Blue Ruin. Now neither the director, Jeremy Saulnier, and the major actor, Macon Blair, are really kind of unknown. So Barry, does this measure up as a revenge film, or is it just another piece of schlock?
For me, it measures up as a revenge film. I was riveted the whole 90 minutes from beginning to end, and I found the suspense to be terrific. And I think the fact that the main character was such an ordinary schnook, I mean, really, so ordinary looking, with a puppy dog face, I mean, anti-glamour, anti-hero.
He had kind of the visage for me of a Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Kind of round and,
Yeah.
and schlubby.
Yeah.
And his name is Dwight.
Yeah.
And the poor boy has just learned that the alleged murderers of his parents have been released from prison. Or the murderer has been released. And that Dwight is already completely disoriented by the murder of his parents years ago.
Yeah.
And we see him in his Blue Ruin, and that's the name of the film, of a Pontiac, of a 1990s Pontiac.
And that's where he lives.
Yes.
He is reduced to that level, and 20 years ago he had that traumatic tragedy and never recovered. He's obviously a total loser. And then he gets this news from this lady cop who realizes that this is going to be traumatic for him. And she breaks the news to him as gently as she can that the murderer of his parents 20 years ago has just been released.
Yes. And what is so interesting to me about this, what makes it so fascinating and not just like a boilerplate B movie, is that he, like us, bumbles this whole business.
Yeah.
He's going to get the murderer.
Yeah.
There's no question about he's going to get his revenge.
Right.
And along the way, there are questions as to whether this fellow really did murder his parents.
Yeah.
And our boy, Dwight, is completely unused to guns.
Yeah, yeah.
And the gun lobby is going to love this film, don't you think?
Right. How we all have to be trained.
Yes, the fellow
prepared.
Right. One of the good old boys from Nebraska is in this.
Yes.
What is his name? Do I have it here? I don't know if I. Yeah, Devin Rattray is in this wonderful job as a kind of big fat good boy who's helping Dwight.
Yeah, yeah.
And Barry, what I really like, and I don't know if you feel the same way too, is that his bumbling endears him to me.
Yeah.
Even though he's a nothing in this sense, he's an outcast.
We can identify with him because he is such an ordinary guy trying to do this horrible revenge. And
what do you think about his relationships in the film as we see them? He's so antisocial, but the director has been very careful to let us see parts of him. How do you feel about it?
Well, he has a sister and her children, but one senses that the sister is really fed up with him. I mean, she loves him, but it's hard for her to deal with. It just she really doesn't want him around her kids, and she loves her brother, presumably, obviously, but it's getting to be too much for her to deal with. I
She
mean,
has a line in there about how she would feel differently about him or feel sorry for him
What?
if he were crazy.
Yes, right,
But she says, "But you're sane."
right.
And-
And so that's why she can't handle it.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and that is a common point of view about people. You know, if they act in an outrageous way or they're total losers and don't even try, have no gumption at all, well, if they're retarded or insane, we can cut them slack.
That's right.
But not when we realize that they are sane and that they could get up and do something.
It devolves into a kind of Hatfield-McCoy bloodbath.
Yeah.
As both families fight each other and destroy each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And through some fortunate circumstances for him, because he's not, as someone would point out, he's not Liam Neeson. Very sharp fighter, got
Right.
everything, he
Right,
prepares everything in
right,
his revenge.
right.
This guy's completely scattershot,
Right.
and it's amazing that he's able to do anything
Yeah.
to survive.
Yeah,
As we look at him coming out of his blue ruin
yeah,
into his ruined life,
yeah.
Barry, is there anything that you can see that that takes this movie out of the doldrums and provides a little lightness? And I was thinking about this. Is there anything light in this movie? And I found some things.
Any touch of humor?
Yes, yeah.
There might be. What do you recall?
Okay. Anyway, it was
Yeah,
just,
right.
I found it, and it's not so obvious.
Yeah.
But when he has that one other family member in his trunk.
Yes, yes. For a long period of time, and the guy is banging and yelling and saying, "Let me out! Let me out!" And he doesn't let him out for the longest
and he
time.
talks to him.
Yeah, right.
And then he opens up the
That's
trunk,
right. Yeah.
and the two of them have a conversation.
Right.
Because Dwight has a gun, and
Right.
this fellow in the trunk is almost a tad drunk almost from and they have repartee going on between
Yeah,
the two,
that's
and
right.
surely Dwight is getting ready to kill him.
Right.
So,
yeah. So.
and I thought also that that Ben Gaffney, played by Devin Raftery, whom we had mentioned before
Yes,
from
yes.
Nebraska,
Right.
provided a little bit of lightness.
Right.
I mean,
Like they were old friends having a reunion, and they could reminisce about old times, and they had the yearbook
yes,
that they
yes,
were both
yes.
pictured in.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Oh, and the mother too. The mother of the redneck. You know, when Dwight encounters her, when he's looking for her son, and she offers him a cup of tea and tells him how to find her son.
yes,
you know?
yes, yes, yes.
And she just acts in a natural way.
Yeah, exactly.
Gee, it's good to see you after all
Right,
these years.
you have clearly the warring families,
Right.
and so the director very nicely presents some of this
Humanizing.
Yes, humanizing
Uh-huh.
is the word.
And a bit of a lighter touch.
Yes, and it's almost outre,
Uh-huh.
because this is not the way you would perceive at all things to be happening.
That's
To
right.
have any kind of a lightheartedness.
Yeah, and so that kept the movie full of surprises on some
Right,
level.
right, right.
Yeah.
And you're in a kind of Coen Brothers world.
Yes.
Where blood is all over the place.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's still a little bit of lightness.
And a little bit of humor,
Yes, yes.
and that has a leavening quality.
Yeah, and I think your word, even though we know that it's a common word, it captured this exact riveting.
Yeah.
Because Linda, who was with us,
Yes.
also said the same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You're tensed every
Yes.
minute,
Yeah.
and I think, as you said, because you don't know what's
Yeah,
going to happen,
right.
and because he is
So unpredictable.
Yes.
And such a bumbler. I mean, is he going to make it this time? Is he going to shoot straight
Yes,
this
yeah.
time? Is he
That's
going
right.
to kill his prey this time?
Yes,
Or is he
exactly.
going to bungle again?
Yes, 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 yes. Barry, I think it's time
Uh-huh.
for us to award a grade to this film. This
Yeah.
is an important part of the show.
Yeah, yeah.
For many people who will forget our brilliant
Yeah,
words,
yeah.
they won't forget
Right.
the grades that we awarded. So,
The bottom line is our grade. That's what they come away with, if nothing else.
so Barry, because you're my guest, you have to go first.
All right, all right. Well, I give it an A minus.
Oh no! Oh no! And why, Barry?
Because I thought that in its little movie indie way, it was just about right,
Yes.
the way it worked for me.
And I think I opened, as I'm writing my review, I had opened up, if you want to make a thriller the right way,
Yeah.
do it this way.
Yeah.
And the grade that I'm going to award online is exactly an A minus.
We're on the same wavelength.
We are.
Uh,
The only thing we don't want to do is to meet Dwight in an alley. I have no idea what he's going to do.
Right, right. Totally unpredictable. A total loser, but totally unpredictable.